We'll get rolling. The Lord be with you. Gracious God, thank you for bringing us together. Thank you for the ability to get here safely, to worship again after a Sabbath of a few days. Be with us as we conversate together. Be with us as we ponder together. Let your Spirit flow through everyone in this room and out into the greater world. May our ministry be your hands and feet on this planet. We ask all this in the name of our Savior and brother, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
All right, so we're going to work through a little bit of an agenda, and then we'll have a time for table talk. You have pieces of paper, the big sticky paper on your tables are for you, anything that you want to write down, okay? So even if it's not like cued for, if you're like, wait, I have this idea, write on it. It doesn't need to be in order, it doesn't need to be in a bulletin list, it's just free form for you to be able to write down anything you want, and the core team will collect those at the end, and we will keep them and look through them. So we're going to use that paper in multiple ways. We'll also ask you to write things on that paper. Okay, so it's a free-form paper, and also to write down some answers. All right, I think it's you, Winnie.
Okay. I'm up first. I know everybody's excited about that. The first thing we're going to talk about is the formation of the subcommittees. We need to really get on that. I know we lost a week because of the ice, but we do need to start forming our subcommittees. And as a reminder, those subcommittees that we recommend starting first was the facilities and the finance. And after that comes administration, governance, in-reach, outreach, worship, and music. And I just want to remind everybody that as the core transition team, we don't make decisions, we gather information. That's kind of our job, is to gather information and then put forward recommendations. We can't gather information without all of you. So for these subcommittees, it's a really narrow scope of what we need in terms of gathering information. So if we do have some sign-up sheets, if you can just think about what you can help us do in terms of providing information. We are all in this together. We stand before you as the core transition team, but everybody in this room has a role, and we need everybody in this room to help us go through this transition. So, if you are involved with something like facilities or finance or governance or in-reach, or have been in the past, or always thought, wow, that sounds interesting, I'd like to be a part of that. Or if something on this list is interest of you. For example, worship and music. Some of us think worship and music is very important, but we're not involved. This is a way that you can help us gather information on topics that are very important to you. So please, we ask that everybody help us. Everybody in this room has a role. These subcommittees are going to be a short time to gather information for us. So we are going to pass those around. And additionally, if you know somebody who is not in this room that would be really good at one of these, put their name down. Nobody's going to say anything. Right? Right? If you're not here in the meeting, you just don't know whatever's going to happen, right? Right. So we're also thinking about having a council member as a liaison to help you. The core transition team, we are talking about expanding our team to allow some more members to get some more things done. Our hope is that we meet in February with these subcommittees to gather that information, to get things going. So again, we want to meet in February. One of us will meet with you to kind of give you a guide. We're not going to let you go out there and kind of flail to figure it out yourself. These are going to be like subcommittees that have a clear direction on what we need for them to do. So again, their facilities, finance, administration, governance, in-reach, outreach, worship, and music. So again, there are short durations. We really need everybody's help in gathering this information. So I'm just want to thank you ahead of time for putting your name on that list or somebody else. Thank you.
One of the things that we've been, One of the things we've been working on is making sure that our communication is good, that we're getting input, and in November and December, our goal was to call each member of our congregations and have a short conversation. I should know about that, right? Have a short conversation with each member of the congregation so that we could get your input. That's part of making sure that we're hearing everybody, and we each have a voice that you can share so we know what's going on in your head. So thank you for those people that we have called, and you've been able to take the time to talk to us. Wendy and I are doing those calls, plus Pastor. So you should have gotten a call from one of us. We're still finishing up, so there might be a few of you that haven't got called yet. So there'll be a few more happening. If you did get a call and you really want to talk, be sure to let us know if you don't hear from us. I'm doing the Christ the Good Shepherd members, Wendy's doing the Holy Cross members, and Pastor's doing a little mix of whatever, whoever. I would just like to say that making phone calls, when Pastor suggested this, making phone calls is not my comfort level. It's like, I really do better in front of a whole group than I do one-to-one. But what I found was that I really enjoyed it, number one. It was really much easier than I was making it in my head, number two. And I really felt I got to know people a little bit more that I didn't know. Not that I have all your names and faces down yet, but I'm working on it, and it really did help to hear your points of view and what you've been thinking about. I think you probably will see this happening again down the road. There'll be maybe another time or two where we do some one-on-one telephone conversations. At that point, we would expand who was doing calling so that it's not just three of us, because that was a big undertaking. So if somebody asks you to make telephone calls and you go, that's not my favorite thing to do, try it anyway, if you would. We would appreciate it.
Back to me again. Hello. Okay. So the next thing we want to talk about is the kind of the update. Like where are we at right now as Holy Cross and Christ the Good Shepherd? What have we done and which direction are we going in? So first of all, if there isn't anybody here that you normally talk to, please discuss these things with them. As we give out information, if you talk amongst some members who are not here today, please give them our updates. Please talk about it. So a couple of things I want, besides worshiping together, the things that we have been doing together, which isn't always seen up front, but we worship together. The Unity Choir is meeting once a week, and they've actually performed a few times. If you missed them, sorry to hear that. They've done a great job. And the Unity Altar Guild, we've been meeting as a group, and we've kind of, I'm in January, got here early to learn Holy Cross, and then Holy Cross people are going to come and learn Christ the Good Shepherd. And we have actually scheduled 2 dates in the future to do some cleanup and some learning of our churches. So we're meeting there as the Unity Altar Guild. The Bible study on Thursdays is growing, and it has members from both congregations. The Faith in Action and the Christ the Good Shepherd outreach, they meet often, and I think they're doing things together. We are starting to form those subcommittees that is going to be a mixture of both of our churches. Oh, and also I think we're talking about hopefully the bell choir starting. Hopefully. There's some discussions there, so there's hope there. So the subcommittees and also the pastoral report is done, and it's been to Joint Council. Joint Council meets once a month. And one member of our core team, either Margot or myself, we do attend those joint council meetings. And the report in the Synod is to the Synod. So there's a lot of things that are happening that we actually don't get to see every Sunday, but I want to ensure that you guys know that we're doing a lot of things together. There's a lot more work to be done, and there's a lot more that we can do and be doing together. So we are better together, and again, I cannot stress enough how it's going to take every single one of us to get through this transition. We need to rely and really trust one another. So that's our update.
All right, one last thing before we get to the conversation. So process. I wanted to kind of form, we're coming on, June would be 1 year in officially being together with a called pastor. So I want you to think about seasons. So the season of summer was the time for me to get called, settled, learn a whole nother congregation that I wasn't really that immersed with. Then to look forward to the season of the fall, which was to think through how are we going to put a team together to start the process versus a large team. How can we focus into and balance, how do we get these first steps? This is the season of listening. So in the fall, we did a lot of listening. We listened through conversations with each other. We listened through being together in fellowship. We listened through having the survey. Some people are better at writing something down. They feel safer that way. We then had a season of phone calling, right? Some more listening. The joint councils have been in this season of how are we going to work together. So this season of listening was where we were in the fall and early winter. We're now in the season of let's start structuring and moving out the structure a bit. So instead of a smaller team, we're going to expand the team. And we're going to expand the team into some specific things that we believe are the most important to get started early. That's why facilities and finance are the first subcommittees to get started. So we have this season of expansion and getting more people involved, more people to hear, more people to be creative, more people to get engaged. And so that season will be in the springtime. We have our congregational meetings. We have the Lent process of contemplation, right? It's a perfect season to believe in this. What can we start to do more intently together? And then we're going to come up on that 1 year anniversary, right, in that June time. And the summer will begin to be a season of maybe taking some real, action, right? Like some bigger actions. And that will carry us through into the second year of where we're really going to get down to the nitty-gritty so that by the time that next, or even before, but let's say the season of deciding comes upon us, whenever that is, when that season of deciding comes, as two communities, we know fully what decision we want to step into. We don't know what that is. We don't even know the expanse of what it could be yet, right? Because we haven't done all that work. But that will be the season of decision. And once that's done, then we step into that decision and start doing the work that will be behind the result and the positive consequence of that decision, that exciting new space to be in, okay? So we're in seasons. Some of you want to be in summer already. I get it. I love Hawaii because it's nice and sunny. But we have to move through processes and we have to go season by season. We can't have summer until we've had winter, right? And summer follows and then fall comes in, okay? So we can change our mindset into seasons. That might help us as we struggle with our own, maybe wanting to go faster or slower, okay? The Synod is also helping to guide in a way of have you thought about these ideas, right? This is not just coming out of thin air. I'm doing a lot of research and reaching out to people who have expertise, who have done this before, and bringing that into the mix. Margot and Wendy are fast becoming experts in thinking through process and how we're going to formulate this, what's the best structure, which will result in what we're going to do next as one of those structures. Margot.
So we are at the point where we're going to do some table talking and jotting down notes. But before we get there, I want to lead into that. And I wrote notes because I want to make sure I say what I want to say. When we first started this adventure, this process, these conversations, we talked about transition. And to me, transition is pretty linear. We're here, we may want to come here, we may not want to come here, but that's kind of what we're looking at, is coming here. And we changed that wording a little while ago to transformational. Because being transformational in my mind is we're here, and where we end up may not be linear. It may be different. It may be bigger. It might be smaller. But it could be very different. It might be the same. We don't know. That's what we're going to kind of work through. But that really helped me figure out where we're going and why we're going through these steps, is because we may want to end up being very transformational and not be where we have been in the past. We'll see where things go. We just believe it's worthwhile to take some time and to have some of those conversations. Maybe we're being called to do something transformational, and maybe not, but we don't know until we talk about it. And Pastor, surprisingly, in her sermon today, kind of said, what is Jesus calling us to be, calling us to do in the Salem community? So the conversations today is not about our two communities necessarily. We're talking about the bigger communities, the Salem community, because we are members of the Salem community, and where we go forward, we might want to consider some things. So, we have 3 questions, and we'll take one at a time. Please use your paper, jot down, have the conversation. If you're sitting with the same people you always talk to, you might want to mix it up a little bit. It'd be great to have some Holy Cross, some Christ the Good Shepherd at your table, just because we bring different perspectives to things. So, that's my suggestion. Strong suggestion. I'll give you a minute if you want to.
Mix up. You're at the table, you haven't talked to somebody before.
Thank you for being brave and willing. No, that's hard to do.
They need to get a lawyer.
Good job, Brian.
I haven't given you a question yet, but I will in just a minute. And you do not have a question yet, so don't worry. Okay, here comes question number 1. And don't panic when you hear the question. Just give me a second and I'll explain. Where do we see our community being in the tomb? Now, I gave Pastor a little bit of a hard time because that's kind of pastor speak. But this is what we're kind of thinking. Where do we see our community, the Salem community, not the people here in the church, the Salem community? Where do we see the issues, the problems, the places where there's angst, another pastor term, death in the tomb, the difficult places in our community, the places that are struggling in our community? Those are the things we're looking at. And we really want to push you to be outside the box. We normally think of homelessness, it's certainly one of them. There may be more. There may be some that aren't as obvious as homelessness. So talk around your table, see what ideas you can come up with. And this is where I like to say brainstorm. There's no wrong or right answers. Just try to get out there as many things as you can possibly think of that are places or events or things in our community that are struggles. Okay? Okay?
I wish we could use our kitchen. That kitchen's empty.
So it could be things like employment, religion, etc.
We're having, a break in price tags.
Yes. So that would be, right, combination. Is it, can't necessarily say homelessness, but that might be a cause, but definitely crime, vandalism, right? They're destroying and or entering into property. It'd be the same as if they came here and were graffitiing or sleeping on our sidewalk or breaking in and stealing. So, to me, there's different levels of graffiti, breaking and entering, homelessness. I mean, they'd all be connected. But I think they got to scream out.
I'm thinking.
Because they were however they were invited to start with.
Right.